What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another episode of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. It's time to get into the November 2019 Mailbag Q&A, answer the questions you guys submitted, and talk about all the things in the inbox and all the other kind of stuff that goes along with Mailbag. You should know what that is by now. If you don't know, that's just questions and answers. It's pretty simple. We're not doing anything crazy here. Who are we? I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, are Robert D. Felice.
Hello.
And Callum Wiggins.
Oh, I forgot to unmute my mic for a second, but yes, I'm here.
That's all right. We only did about like 6,000 in these podcasts.
Yeah.
Happens to the best of us, to the worst of us, all over the place. Hopefully, all over the place are having fun. It's the day before Thanksgiving. And we appreciate that you guys are joining us here, listening to this podcast, and we invite you to join in on the fun. Leave a comment below. Tell us your thoughts on, your answers for these questions, or your responses to our answers, or anything else you want to chime in about. So if you are on the audio-only platforms like iTunes or Stitcher, or Google Play, or Spotify, or Anchor, or Podbean, or any of the other kind of stuff, then leave a star rating or whatever it has over on those different platforms. Hop on over to YouTube, ring that little bell for the notifications, like the video, subscribe if you haven't done it already to the channel, and leave a comment below. Tell us anything you want to tell us. Unless it's something weird, then we don't need to know. But let's get into, let's start off with Peter's questions. We got a couple different ones here. One of them being, speaking of the whole YouTube channel thing, will COPPA affect you? COPPA will affect everybody to a certain extent. And for those who don't know what COPPA is, it's this thing that's going around now. YouTube essentially had bypassed being part of this whole regulation about the internet. I think it was like 1998 or so that they had created this thing called COPPA. And the basic premise of it was it's illegal, or at least morally not ethical, to be able to advertise to children on the internet, which I'm pretty sure everybody kind of agrees. And that applies to cookies, and it applies to tracking, and, everything that goes along with that. And for the longest time, YouTube got around this whole idea that they would need to follow those regulations because they circumvented it by saying you need to be 13 years or older to go on YouTube. Now, they even created YouTube Kids to be sort of like, all right, well, these things are going to follow that, and we're not going to have to deal with any problems. Well, recently, they had to pay, I think it was $150 million to this whole thing because they just realized, you know what? No, if you are saying that YouTube is like the number one spot for kids on the internet, then you can't say it's not a kid's website, which makes perfect sense. So how did YouTube respond with that? Well, they want to wash their hands off of everything, and I don't blame them for this either. I mean, it's kind of what I would do to a certain extent if I were running YouTube. They decided that they were going to make it a checks and balances system that depends on the actual channels. And every channel has this annoying message right now. Even if you've already clicked on what they ask you to do, it's just perpetually up there. So you have to say whether or not your channel is directed towards kids, or if it's just not going to target kids as a demographic, or that you want to make sure that each video you can pick yes or no to. So I just went through and I just said, no, none of my channels are going to be directed towards kids. I don't have any content that should apply to kids, but what they have here is a weird instance where their definition of what constitutes like kids material is so incredibly vague that almost anything could be. Like they have, if it involves toys at all, if it's got bright colors, if there are people using words like cool, it's absolutely absurd. And the downside to it is that they will mess up your monetization. And if they want to make examples out of anybody and they want to sue anybody for any particular reasons, they think that they're like trying to, manipulate kids, warp their minds, all this other kind of stuff, which, by the way, I thought it was funny that Matt Pat from Game Theory had been talking to somebody from the YouTube spectrum, and they said that the people that they are trying to explain some things to, some of them don't have cell phones because that's too like modern for them. So this is the type of people that are making laws about like the internet, which is absolutely absurd. But if they want to make an example out of you, they can charge you and sue you $42,000 per video. Essentially, they can make it to where you make no money, and if they want to, they can bankrupt you in one like lawsuit. You can just be like, all right, you've got like, I mean, I don't know how many videos I have on Smark Out Moment alone, but you could, if you wanted to say like, well, I've got a movie review about Star Wars, and Star Wars is dedicated towards kids and whatever, and the fact that I say curse words in my thing is some kind of a problem. Here's $42,000 for each of the movie reviews you did with Star Wars. That's already like, 9 times that amount and stuff, and obviously nobody has the fucking money for that. So it's all insane, but I am hoping at the very least that the fact that I've said like, no, I'm not targeting towards kids. I'm cursing every single one of my videos. It's got no, hey, look at me, I'm gonna play with this like little kids game, and I'm gonna try to be all like cutesy or whatever. I'm hoping that it doesn't affect me, but if it ends up being like the adpocalypse or something like that, then you know what? I don't make any money on YouTube really as it is. The main source of revenue for me as far as the podcast goes is your Patreon donations. So if something happens, by all means, everybody, I will continue to do the podcast on like iTunes and such. And I'll just have to keep relying on that. So if you want to make sure that's the case, donate to the Patreon, whether it's $1, $5, whatever it is that you have for your spare change that you can toss my way, is greatly appreciated. And as I mentioned multiple different times, if every single person who subscribed to the YouTube channel donated $1 a month, which is really, it's $12 a year, that would actually pay for an insane amount of upgrades to the podcast. It's absurd the amount of upgrades that I'd be able to do. So consider doing that. But then again, it's Thanksgiving tomorrow. I don't want to make it seem like I'm doing this for money grubbing things. I appreciate even just the views. Any kind of support you guys do is greatly appreciated. So keep that in mind. You know what? While I'm plugging this, I'm already 7 minutes into this whole thing. The Patreon is also a good place for you to check out for the Pick Your Poison tier. If you want us to do a specific thing and we haven't gotten around to doing it, and you want to request that it's like, man, I really want you guys to do that mock draft of all time, or I want you to do another Time Machine Dream Team, or anything like that, Pick Your Poison is that tier. And as I mentioned before, I wanted to start doing the dark matches, so I will work on that whenever I can, probably sometime at least after Black Friday, when I can sort some things out and stuff like that, and I'll let you know more about that. But yeah, so Kappa's not going to affect you two guys, right?
Well, if it affects you, it affects us, I'm sure, somehow. Or maybe it will affect me, because maybe that's how Fightful gets its money, or WrestleZone, so who knows?
I'm appreciative of any regulation which makes it favourable for me to say the word cunt more regularly on YouTube videos.
Yeah, cunt.
Yeah, we're not into kids, cunts. There we go.
And now some outdated executive's gonna be like, I don't know, kids like salty language. It struck me so interesting that their ideas were like, like the word cool being like, that must be a kid's video if you use the word cool. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the kids don't say cool anymore.
Yeah.
Is
They say
Groovy
green or
on that
something.
list as well? Like,
be like, that's totally radical.
Yeah.
Imagine like if I was trying to be like, one of those like, oh, I'm hip with the kids, it's lit, fam. Like,
Yeah, say dope or saying, yeah, this is dope.
Yeah, this whole Kappa thing, I got a feeling that it's actually gonna kind of get all stirred up, and the big wigs that are gonna actually be affected by this are gonna make enough of a stink that things are gonna change. Meanwhile, I'm just kind of sitting here going like, yay, YouTube said that I made like 10 cents on this and stuff.
yes.
You're like, oh man, I got like an upgrade. I got that little arrow that points upward, and it's a green arrow, and it says I did more this month for this one particular video than I did before. Now I got 3 cents. Yeah, like that's how it is.
Oh,
Peter asks also, what are you guys watching on Disney Plus? What do you want them to add to the app? He's watched Muppets Office version, Recess, Sweet Life. He wants them to add the Muppets, the Aladdin animated series, the Brian Daniels Show, American Dragon, and Friday Night SmackDown. Friday Night SmackDown. How would that be?
I think
Oh, because Fox. Yeah, that makes sense.
Fox.
But they're separate. They bought 20th Century Fox and all that stuff, but Fox became like its own entity for the TV side of things. So now it's like there's a crossover, but like it's not quite the same thing and all that. I don't have Disney Plus, so I haven't watched anything.
I find that so hard to believe. I know you told me that you weren't going to, but I just don't get it.
I'll
Callum,
get it.
it's not
I'll get it when
available
the
for you, is
MCU projects come in. I mean, once Falcon and Winter Soldier pops up, then I'll get it that month.
It's not available for you, right, Callum?
No, it won't be available until March in the UK.
Yeah, so I'm watching just about along the lines of what Peter said, the mid 2000s Disney shows. Like I've been watching some Even Stevens. It's fun seeing Shia LaBeouf, not insane. Not insane. I've been watching a lot of just like the random Disney animated shows like Timon and Pumbaa. I've been loving the fact that I have access to early Simpsons at my disposal. The Imagineering documentary series is really, really good. I really enjoy that one. The Mandalorian. There's a lot of good shit on Disney Plus. It's right up there with the network for me. I'm never getting rid of it. I think it's great. And yeah, it's worth your $7.
When it's available, are you gonna get it, Callum?
More than likely. There's a lot of I watch a fair amount of Disney movies in the past, so I'd want to be able to just have free access to any of those that are available. I would like to catch up on just to have a nostalgia fix with stuff like Recess and a few other like cartoons that I used to watch. Maybe like Peter says, the Aladdin TV series. There was some fun additions to that, but likely I would watch those, get the reaction of wow, this is not dated, this is not aged well, and then just move on from it. But just to get that like one cheap nostalgia pop, I think it'd be worthwhile. And yeah, you get access to a lot of the Star Wars stuff and anything else they have under their umbrella, and the Simpsons obviously, then yeah, there's really, I don't see it as being something that's not worth investing in.
Yeah, it's impossible to think about how many things are actually underneath the umbrella. Some things have flown under my radar as far as what's not on there. Like I thought the Aladdin series was on there. I know for whatever reason the Proud Family right now isn't up there, which I think is ridiculous. But I know they're going to reboot that.
Never even heard of
that. I'm not surprised.
Am I too old for it? Is that what it is?
Maybe, because we're about what? How many years apart are we? 10?
Well, I'm 32.
Okay, so we're only 8.
Yeah. So,
no,
big difference.
Maybe you could have
sometimes
seen it.
2 years could be a big difference with like Nickelodeon and stuff.
The Weekenders, I know that's coming and I can't wait. The Lizzie McGuire reboot. I could go on and on. I'm very happy with Disney Plus.
I did see a thing that people were saying that the first however many seasons of The Simpsons, the aspect ratio is all off.
They fixed it.
Oh, they did? Okay, good. Because that's just, plenty of things in the past weren't HD. They weren't widescreen. They didn't have that type of aspect ratio. You can't just zoom in. You got to have the stupid bars on the side. You just have to do that. It sucks, but, Put the
That's never bothered me.
Put the black bars, and eventually your eyes just adjust to it, Or put the little things like WWE Network. Sometimes, actually, I don't think it's on the network. I think it's on YouTube.
It was on the DVDs, like they would do the WWE HD.
Yeah, like that stuff kind of that stuff bugs me. But if you get the right border, It's not bad. But the black border is just do that. It's fine. But yeah, I'm not
The only
planning on
thing I
getting
think
it until the MCU stuff comes in. And to be honest, I might not even get it then. I might just download torrents. I mean, I will
this one,
legally find revenues for this.
I was gonna say this one should be mandatory for you, but you don't even pay for the network, so never mind.
If I could figure out a way to not even pay for Comcast, that'd be the best. Let's be honest. If I can figure out a way to not pay for anything in my life, I will try to figure out a way to do that.
See, now you're advertising ways of stealing money to kids. That's really
Yeah,
bad.
see, kids, if you want to figure out ways to curse, if you want to figure out ways to steal, lie, cheat, anything,
Eddie Guerrero's a
Smark
good
Out
source for that.
Moment. Yeah. Let's see. Do you like Rude and Ziggler with Corbin?
No.
I'd rather have a B team and be the Corbin's gestures thing. We mentioned the court gesture thing before. I like Peter's court gestures thing, but if you're gonna have to put him with people that you can buy more into being like legitimate partners, then I'm okay with Ziggler and Rude being there. It's a temporary thing. It's not gonna last all that long.
But it's just, why waste time? That's all this is. It's a waste of time. Like, it's not going anywhere. You know that none of them are going anywhere. Why waste your time?
Yeah, essentially, it's three guys that aren't doing anything and won't become anything. So just
Yeah,
guys, just lump them all together and do nothing with them.
they're the antagonists for Roman Reigns for the next 4 weeks, and that's about it.
Yeah, they're essentially like playing the role of, I don't know, when Hulk Hogan used to go between like Earthquake and Kamala and King Kong Bundy or whatever. Just they're the villain of the month. Only because of the way WWE's run currently, they just stay there once it's over and just fester for years and years on end.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of
I
dark.
hate it.
Well, I mean, you know what my position's been for the last few months. Whatever, I am so unbelievably unenthused with WWE right now, to a point which I did not even consider possible. And do you like Rude and Ziggler and Corbin? No, I don't like Corbin. I don't like Rude, and I don't like Ziggler. So putting them all together hasn't really helped my mood that much.
I like. There was a time where I thought you can't miss with Bobby Roode, and they proved that you absolutely can, and you can continue to miss just for the fucking sake of missing. So, yeah, like, Ziggler's never going to be anything. I've accepted that, and I like Baron Corbin. I don't like that they have him in a king's outfit talking about testicles and feces, but whatever. That's just what WWE is.
I see. I don't, like I've kind of said before, I don't have a significant problem with Baron Corbin, other than the fact that he's just been there for so long, just doing nothing, pretty much.
Yes.
Like he's always pushed in like to a prominent position, but every big feud that he's ever been a part of, it just doesn't feel important or necessary or interesting. And so you kind of feel like he needs to go away for 6 months, be completely repackaged, and come back, because he's a good worker and he's a good talker. But if he just wasn't Baron Corbin anymore, just like go away for 6 months, come back with a completely new character.
Do
Then
like an
maybe it
Isaac
would work.
Yankum to Kane kind of situation?
Yeah, because he has the fundamentals. He's good in the ring. He does have, he can be a good talker, and he is able to generate heat for himself. His character is just so stale. Like the Baron Corbin name is just so stale at this point.
Because he's literally become. Oh, every time you look at him and words come out of his mouth, you go, "Oh, that was a Vinceism." Oh, this is like, he's got Vince tropes all over him.
Yeah, essentially. And I know not everyone agrees with this, but I just get the sentiment of whenever he's on screen, it's my cue to switch off.
Should he come back as Football Tom?
He can come back as anything. Like, as long as it's just not what he's become, essentially, which is just, the guy that we'll occasionally turn to for a main event push, which isn't going to really go anywhere, and then he'll just go back to the mid card. It's like there's he's not the only one. There's a lot of people that are suffering from that issue of the fact that they're just so overexposed and they do so little with them that's really of any interest or has got any sort of bite to it, that they just become stale by. Even if they do start to have some good matches or get some momentum behind them, you're still kind of in the back of your mind thinking, yeah, but it's Baron Corbin, or yeah, it's Dolph Ziggler, or yeah, it's Bobby Lashley or whatever. Just like, you just immediately associate in your head as like, yeah, this isn't going to matter, or they won't do anything with it.
And that is the exact problem. You can tell me all day, oh, but Ziggler is so good in the ring, and he's a 2-time world champion and like a 20-time Intercontinental champion. But it's Ziggler, and it's November, and you have booked yourself so formulaically that we know that this won't matter by the time we're talking about WrestleMania, so nobody cares. That's their own fault.
Essentially, this is this year's version of the Corbin McIntyre Bobby Lashley thing they had basically around about the same time last year. Well, actually, it's more Strowman, Ziggler, and McIntyre. That was around about this time last year until they turned Strowman back.
It's a bad mashup of both of them.
I think it's all right. It's just not offensive. It's just like, that's just a thing. It's not going to matter.
You're more numb to the point where you're not as passionately against it as we are.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just like, well, what's the alternative? Ziggler and Rude wrestle a pointless tag team match and Corbin's not there?
No, the fucking alternative is you get people who know what they're doing with the talents they have, and you put Rude in a high-level singles position because he's done so much in the industry, and Ziggler, shit or get off the pot. Like,
yeah, but if we're talking, fantasy booking where people know how to do their jobs and stuff, that's a different story.
Do we have any AEW questions this week?
If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, how's the rest of that go?
It'd be a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see. When Seth Rollins mentioned his bank account, everyone said that was a dick move. When Renee Young says she's making that Fox money, no one says anything. Why are they both? Why when they're both talking about money?
Because Renee Young's being playful, and Seth Rollins was trying to be a shit disturber. And
context is the key.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Obviously,
Renee Young is a likable person, and she said it in a jovial way to just to talk about the situation. Whereas Seth Rollins specifically mentioned his bank account in order to essentially do who's got a bigger dick competition with Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
And
so that's why he was abused for it.
It's also a matter of Seth Rollins is sort of the figurehead of the company. So if people want to go against WWE, going against Seth Rollins is a way to vent their frustrations in another way like that. It's just like, if Renee would have been saying that as like, oh my God, WWE is the best thing and fuck everybody else and like all the same kind of connotations, then people would have been jumping down her throat too.
Yeah, if she was talking about like how she's getting that Fox money that Charlie Crusoe isn't or something like that, then
it's whoa.
Then it's like, what are you being a bitch for? Like that kind of thing. Yeah.
Whereas Seth Rollins was saying like, just because obviously Will Ospreay was being presented as one of the top wrestlers in the world, and Seth Rollins took umbrage with the idea because Seth Rollins basically that's why the thing on Monday Night Raw was so effective, is because he hasn't turned heel, he's just become his Twitter persona on TV.
Perfect.
So, yeah, that's why he's so inherently unlikable on that platform. So there's something about that platform that just brings out the worst in him, which actually it brings out the worst in most people, if we're being honest.
Yeah, Twitter's shit. Social media is shit.
Yeah.
People are shit. We talked about this before.
It should be called shit instead.
On Monday with the fucking Marinella shit. Just like stop being a douche on social media.
Which, beginning of After the Bell, Corey Graves puts out somewhat of an apology about it.
It was pretty...
It seems like the type of apology that it's like, well, I guess I should apologize, but I don't really want to apologize.
Yeah, meanwhile, Marinello will not be calling this week's episode of NXT.
Yeah, that's... So, like, the fact that he did apologize and very clearly said, I didn't mean to, stress him out, it worries me because it makes me think, the comments did hit him hard, and he probably had. And
I know you guys obviously talk about it. I don't want to extend too far beyond it, but just the idea of it's not just him making the comments and it's just a colleague making a comment about another colleague. Him making those comments encourages Corey Graves' followers to essentially attack Mauro Ranallo's Twitter profile.
Mm-hmm.
With like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Mauro, shut up and let Beth and Nigel get a word in. Like I said, I had comments on the review that we did about. I thought that Mauro Ranallo was a little over top with some of his references.
Yeah.
And I think we've said that stuff before, but at the end of the day, we're just a crappy little podcast, just referencing this sort of stuff. It's just like we're not meaning anything. Like I appreciate the fact that Mauro Ranallo is a great commentator. He does say a lot of references that often go over my head, but we're not. When it's somebody who's not even like just working at the same company as you, but working in the same job role as you are, essentially.
A peer.
A peer. If they're saying that sort of stuff, like commentators will say whatever they want about it, and then like just whether it's on social media or through podcasts or through other platforms, like you can even take that criticism or that feedback and do whatever, or you can ignore it. But when it's somebody who's working in the same company as you, it just hits home a little bit harder. Especially if that person has a pre-devoted following of his own who will also then take that stuff and turn it against that person as well.
The point is, not everything needs to be public.
Yeah, just send him a message. Like, if you wanted to do that, just send him a message saying, I think you were a little bit like either over enthusiastic or just were saying a little bit too much, and Beth and Nigel didn't really get to say too much. You don't have to post it on a public forum, but that's what, as Tony would say, like, this is what social media has done to people. It's made it feel like everybody's opinion has to be out in the open for millions of people to see.
If I didn't say it on social media, it didn't actually happen.
Pixar, it didn't happen. Yeah, social media just makes, it's great for a lot of things. That's the good thing. But like anything else in life, something that could be made to upgrade the great stuff can also upgrade the bad stuff. And that level of anonymity and just kind of the overall like culture that it fosters is just like, it's just shitty. That's why it's always good to keep in mind that even when like you're comparing yourself to the way that people post on Facebook and whatever, you got to keep in mind that people are posting things that they're not posting all the time about all the crap that they're going through. They're posting, here's an image of me that's the best out of the 15 pictures that I took. So no wonder they look better in that one. Or, if you, if you check the comment section on anything and it's like, even just on the comments for wrestling articles, the amount of people that'll just be like, oh my God, I wish that you would die and burn in hell. And it's like, do you
Mango,
really?
you fruit.
Yeah, it's like, do you really wish that upon somebody because they said that like Kevin Owens should win a match against somebody or something, where it's just like, if you're really that messed up, then you're the type of person who's standing in line at Walmart just going like, I fucking hate birds, and you're just like, it's one of those Walmart people, like, it's, if you're crazy, you're crazy.
Yep.
And get out of the line. I guess.
Yeah.
Let's go to Rachel's questions. Who in your opinion, came up with the idea of having a Royal Rumble match involving the women? Was it Triple H or Stephanie? I think that it was just one of those things that, like, this should have been a conversation a long time ago, and they just sort of probably came around to it every year and said, we're going to do a women's one. And eventually they were like, yeah. I don't think it was like one person championing the concept.
No, I imagine that if it was like a group of people championing it, it would be the same people that were championing all the stuff involving that the women have been able to, I don't want to say get access to, but once they become more prominent in TV as quote unquote wrestlers, that's essentially been, as far as we know, it's stuff that's been pushed forward by Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, like William Regal, Finlay in the past. Yeah, so it's probably just a collection of those groups always putting those ideas forward, probably for over the course of several years, and they finally break through.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Women's wrestling wouldn't exist without Stephanie.
Yeah, no, it wasn't invented at that point. That's why they couldn't have done a Royal Rumble beforehand, because women wrestling didn't exist before 2015.
Yeah.
So,
So, I mean, obviously, this was a collective thought. Here's the truth. Hunter and Stephanie saw the success and popularity of Ronda Rousey, and they said, "Cool, now we can do that with our women."
Mm-hmm.
And they went on and did that with their women, and I think they did it better.
I don't necessarily say they did it better. They didn't, because I don't think they've ever made a single one of their wrestlers a bigger deal than Ronda Rousey was at her peak.
Well, that's because wrestling isn't a bigger deal right now than UFC was when Ronda was at her peak.
No, I mean that's a fair point, but I also think it's due to the fact that they're really inept creatively and they can't really get anybody over.
I mean, it's true, but if we're just telling the truth here, yeah.
Well, Rachel
They couldn't
asks
even
us
get-
about that as well. It says, why did the likes of Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Charlotte Flair become so popular with the fans? Was it because they weren't models and the WWE universe got tired of the models being pushed? I mean,
think
it's like we know that they are four of the people that have gotten over the most over these past bunch of years. Them and the Bella Twins probably are the top. But why necessarily? And to me, it's a kind of combination of things. It's not necessarily that they were like, let's push this, and they just went ahead and did it.
Generally, I think it's. Again, I don't want to make it sound like in any way demeaning or anything like that, but maybe it was just shock value with the fact of, for a lot of people thinking, oh my god, women can wrestle after so many years in WWE of women just being 3-minute matches with sloppy spots and mainly being there just to be eye candy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was, I said, for a long time, it was just Beth Phoenix and Natalya and then everyone else.
Yep.
Yeah, and as good as some of those people were for what they were going for, like Maurice is obviously gorgeous, and she could play a bitchy character, but I don't think anybody's going to be like, you know what, if I got to pick my 100 favorite wrestlers of all time and, stick it to like an in-ring caliber type thing, Maurice is up there, like, it's just not the way that things were.
And the environment of NXT being, especially at the early stages, a very, very, like, indie environment. It allows for that a deeper interaction with things, and people are more forgiving, more accepting than they are on a grander stage, like on the WWE main roster.
Oh, that's the rebellious type of thing too. Like if you're not on the main roster, people are more willing to be like, "Oh, this is like I liked it before it was cool" type vibe.
Yeah.
Everybody does that with I'm going to push this guy because I want this guy to get a push, and once he gets a push, well, I don't like him anymore.
Look at Seth Rollins.
Yeah. Great example. Even at the beginning of the year, people were like, let's go with Seth Rollins. He's going to be the thing and whatever. Then he's the champion. And people are just like, I'm sick of this fucking guy. And with Becky and Sasha and Bayley and Charlotte, like the Four Horsewomen weren't packaged at the beginning of this as the Four Horsewomen. They weren't pushed from WWE management as being like, here's this pet project in NXT that we want to get over. They just got over, and they had the match quality to be able to get over. Like Bayley and Sasha at TakeOver is still one of the better matches that year, and they were different from some of the other people at the time, at the right time too, because this is, as we mentioned on the hot tags and stuff, this is like the woke culture. This is the let's stand up for people that haven't gotten their chances before time frame. This is the type where people are very militantly like, let's push for change. So, if Melina would have been first just coming into WWE around the same time frame, who's to say Melina wouldn't be the top one, I think that you get people who are talented and in the right place at the right time. Mickie James, for instance. Mickie James was kicking ass in a time frame where nobody wanted to give a shit. And if she were to be just starting into it now, like, Mickie would be fucking killing it, So they weren't models, but they were still good looking enough that people weren't just sort of like, oh my god, now they got rid of the models. Now none of them are good looking, you know what I mean? So they were a right balance between a lot of different things.
Have you guys seen this weird, like all of a sudden the Divas era people are starting to be very nostalgic for like Divas style of wrestling?
That's because that's different now. they've been beaten over their head for the past bunch of years about the women's revolution and women's evolution and all that. So now people are like, oh, I'm sick of that. Let's go into the whole it used to be better when it was this. And
I hate it.
Yeah. I think
Go
it's a
ahead.
mix. It's a mixture of stuff. It's a mixture of the fact that they have been beaten over the head with this women revolution idea, and so maybe think people are going back thinking that the diva stuff wasn't so bad, or thinking that people are always nostalgic for stuff that they looked at in their childhood or when they were growing up with wrestling, and thinking that that was the right way of doing it. And that's common across basically all types of things. Like the wrestling you watch as a child is probably, in most people's eyes, is better than the wrestling nowadays. But and then there's also just the factor of there's tons of people online who are pretty sexist and disgusting people that just want to see women like on their TV and wrestling, parading around in lingerie rather than wrestling with each other.
yeah, there's definitely some people that are just pissed that
Yeah.
it's not
It's not models in like doing bikini contests and
Yeah.
just rolling around in the ring on top of the referee for 2 or 3 minutes at a time.
Mm-hmm. So, it's a combination of a lot of different factors. The popularity and the unpopularity, I guess you could say. That's Rachel's questions. Let's go to Howard. If you could pick a table for 3 from legendary wrestlers who have passed away, whether it be male or female, who would you like to pick who would you pick to strike conversations with on the show? This is weird because I don't know exactly, and if you wanted it a different way, Howard, then leave a comment below and tell me if I'm interpreting this the wrong way. But if it's a matter of who would you pick strike a conversation with, meaning that I'm one of the 3, then as far as people who have passed away, I gotta say Owen Hart and Chris Benoit.
So I took it as 3 people who are no longer there. Just make a table for 3, and I did Benoit, Owen Hart, and Brian Pillman. Because there's a thread there.
I don't know who I would go with for a third person. Brian Pillman makes sense though, but I'm gonna elaborate more on that. Callum, who are your picks?
Well, I found it difficult with just thinking about wrestlers that had passed away, because I thought immediately one that sprung to mind was I had to have Randy Savage on it.
Yeah, it's another one that was in the
but
mix for me.
The more interesting ones to me would be if Randy Savage was on there with Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon, or with Hulk Hogan and Miss Elizabeth. Just because of how that would be the most awkward dinner in history. But obviously Hulk Hogan's still alive at time of recording, and so I don't think
4:11 p.m.
Yeah, so I couldn't have got involved with that one, but maybe something like Randy Savage, Roddy Piper, and someone else from that kind of like the golden generation. I'm trying to think, maybe Andre. Just get those 3 together to talk about what was going on behind the scenes. I think at that point in time, that might be an interesting conversation to have.
See, that's where a lot of this kind of comes into play is, do you get time for them to actually, like, catch up on stuff? Or is it just sort of like they pop in there and you're talking? Because if you could fill them in and they can, like, watch things and they can kind of sort of have, like, an omnipresence about everything, then, like, imagine getting Andre's opinion about how big men have evolved over the years. Because he didn't really get to see, like, Undertaker, you know? He got to see, like, Mean Mark and that kind of stuff, but, like, he didn't get to see Undertaker from WrestleMania 25 fighting Shawn Michaels, or Kane doing his things.
And now you look like a Keith Lee.
Keith Lee, like a Braun Strowman type, the Big Show, even just the idea that it's like, this guy's supposed to be my son, and he's... Give credit where it's due. Big Show is a fucking great athlete. And he was doing drop kicks and shit back in the day. Like, that
so
was
Andre.
Oh, he was doing it better. But, like, that would be really interesting. And, you brought up Miss Elizabeth and Randy Savage and that whole setup, like try to get their opinion about that and where did their relationship go, and ask Randy like, yeah, you're in the Hall of Fame now, like what do you think, and
I'd
but
hate to like
go ahead.
just to have Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth, whoever the third person in that in that meal would probably feel pretty awkward.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'd be awful.
What
be a
if we
rough
got
time for
somebody
them.
who has nothing to do with any of them? It's just like
Yeah, it's just
Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth and
And
like
doink.
an earthquake
Yeah.
or something. No, yeah, no.
But like imagine talking to Owen Hart and being like, so this is what happened. Like this is what's been going on over the years. This is the controversy that came out of this. This is whatever. But shit, imagine talking to Chris Benoit. Like, good lord, would that be scary and
Yeah.
like
Well, I almost feel that's beyond the remit of Table for Free. It's like it's like
the salad
like-
is delicious. So you murdered your family.
Yeah.
yeah, because that's why I wouldn't go with people like with the Benoit thing. Benoit thing is just an awful tragedy all around, and so is the Owen Hart thing. I just don't. I feel they're too weighty. I'd rather obviously any death is a tragedy, but ones that had something which wasn't so closely related to murder or wrestling related deaths would probably be top of my priority of thinking, who am I going to book on this like list of passed away wrestlers?
well, even if they didn't have to be passed away, if you could pick any three people for a table for three, who would you pick? I'd love to see Vince Russo, and Eric Bischoff.
It would be funny to see. See, I worry about that one just because there would be just a bunch of people just lying essentially the entire time. I don't imagine like there would be you would get much out of it. It'd probably be fun to watch, but I just don't know whether you get anything out of it. I think you need to have people that are a bit more like either on a more friendly level now. So I'd be fine with someone like if it was Vince, Heyman, and see, I would say Bischoff, but obviously that's become a bit more acrimonious in recent months. So if it was Vince, Heyman, and Triple H, maybe.
I would have Vince McMahon sit between Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels, and let's let that happen. Let's just see what people say and what memories come to mind. You know,
Vince, Briscoe, and Patterson would be fun.
that'd be hilarious.
Oh, that'd be a good one, yeah. Man,
So they would just have, like,
really haven't tapped into Table for Three as much as they should.
Yeah, I think the thing that I think they should push more with Table for Free is that it's more of a fun-free environment than some like of the more like when you got like the Stone Cold podcast or anything along those lines that can be a bit more hard-hitting or delve into deeper topics. They should just be a fun show where you just talk about stories from the road more than anything else, really.
You know how we were talking before about the idea of like the Time Machine Dream Team of the mascots? Like now they had like the big dog and all that. What if they did a Table for Three of that? They had the gobbledygooker, the big dog, and the swagger soaring eagle or something, and they just had them, and it's just like,
and they're not allowed to take their costumes
like,
off. Yeah, they have to do it in character.
That
Yeah,
would be
it's just
awful.
it's like a 30-minute episode of just the big dog barking and the soaring eagle just.
They got away with 3 hours of
Boogeyman.
the Boogeyman.
That's true, where he's playing with fucking action figures and yeah.
I love chips, Lay's chips.
Another question from Howard. Marry, fuck, kill of Randy Savage's former managers: Miss Elizabeth, Sensational Sherry, and Gorgeous George. Marry Miss Elizabeth, fuck Gorgeous George, kill Sensational Sherry.
I'm marrying Elizabeth, killing Gorgeous George, and fucking Sensational Sherry.
It's also an acceptable answer.
Yeah, I think I'd probably lean more towards Rob's answer. Yeah, so, but I don't know about. See, the character Miss Elizabeth is the one that you want to marry.
Yeah,
I'm not so sure about.
That's what we're going for.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the person, like the person behind the character, because she's a bit vanilla. is probably how I'd best describe her character.
That's where I'm going characters here, because it's like, I mean, with Gorgeous George, like, for the fuck option, it's basically just who's somebody good looking and whatever. But like Sensational Sherry's character, like, no way I'm marrying her, you know?
No, that is true. So yeah, probably marry Miss Elizabeth, fuck Sensational Sherry, and kill Gorgeous George.
People themselves, like, I don't know, Stephanie Bellers. I don't have a clue what she's up to. I know she did some porn, so that's why I was just like, I don't know, fuck option. Again, drop your comments below. Tell us your thoughts on this Marry, Fuck, Kills and stuff. And if you want us to do more of those, we add that as part of the play the game. So, Wed, Better, Dead.
Yeah, kids.
Our variation of that. Yeah, if you want to target towards that demographic, I guess. I don't know. I mentioned the Patreon before, so I'm not going to plug that again. But yeah, I will talk about a plug right now, though. Why the hell not? Merchandise shops, TeePublic and Redbubble. You know, Black Friday's coming up in 2 days, so if you want to take advantage of that, all the shops are on sale right now. So hit up TeePublic and Redbubble for Fanboys Anonymous, for A Mango Teas, and for Smark Out Moment. If you want to pick up a t-shirt or any other kind of different stuff. There's like 1,000 different varieties of different things. So, you know, keep that in mind. Let's go to Emilio. And first question here. I just saw the thing in the chat.
Yeah, don't say that out loud. That's some behind the scenes humor that's just going on right there. Never ever gonna make it to air.
Let's go to Emilio's questions. If you could create a female faction from the existing women on the roster from Raw, SmackDown, NXT, NXT UK, who would you choose and what would you call this faction? I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't name my faction because I didn't really think that I had any real good ideas, but I mostly drew a blank for this. I think that most people are better off on their own, but I would say there's a couple different pairings that I wouldn't mind seeing. Some of them more tag teams than factions. I still think Ember Moon and Kaden Carter could be a good tag team, especially when Kaden Carter was doing a little bit more of like the same sort of entrance as Ember Moon. But Ember Moon and Alexa Bliss are really good friends. And I think that Ember Moon needs a gimmick change. I don't dig the, like, what was it, the She-Wolf?
The She-Nom.
She-Nom, yeah. Even that, like, I don't like it. I don't think that she comes off as genuine. I think she wants to play a character that doesn't suit her. Whereas Ember Moon on, like, Up, Up, Down, Down, she's bright and lively and quirky, and not that she has to be like that type of character, but you know, with the best characters tend to be the ones where it's more of themselves and they just kind of make some little tweaks, and I feel like she's putting on a gimmick that doesn't fit her. But if you pair her with Alexa Bliss, I think that could actually work. And I don't know about like a third person that would put in there, so that's really tough. But another idea I had was if you want to get away from the Riot Squad, because I don't like the Riot Squad, maybe pair up Ruby Riot with Shotzi Blackheart and Rhea Ripley and do some kind of like, you know, we're all like the punk chick type thing. No idea what the hell you call it, though. You can't call it Riot Squad. And I have terrible ideas, I think. I don't like them all. What about you guys? Got any ideas for factions for the women's division?
I immediately thought you pair Becky Lynch as the head of the faction, you put Rhea Ripley in there, you put Tegan Nox in there, and you put Toni Storm in there. I don't know what you call it because I couldn't be bothered to think of a name, but I think those four would be almost like the Horsemen, how they were all good in their own way, and then they come together and they could really kick ass.
In terms of just a jokey tag team, I thought of putting Maria Kanellis and Lana together and coining the Cut Queens.
Oh, God.
Just like, but so yeah.
Somebody's listening and they're gonna do that now, Callum. Thank you.
Can't be any worse. And then, but the one that the people I thought would pair up well together in a bigger faction would be Shayna Baszler on top, as the head of the faction, with Jazzy Gabbert, Sonya Deville, and Ruby Riott. And then they could, I didn't really think of too much for a name. I thought something that would maybe connected to the gunman of the apocalypse, something to that effect. Maybe just calling them apocalypse or something, but just 4 really like badass vindictive women that will essentially run roughshod over the entire division. I think it would be better than the current horsewoman thing, because I just don't think that Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke are progressing quickly enough.
Or at all.
Or at all. And they basically don't have any matches on TV, and that can only be due to the fact that they clearly don't have confidence that they'll put on good matches. So pairing Shayna Baszler up with 3 like established, talented wrestlers would probably be a bit more of a step in the right direction for her.
If you could be a fly on the wall for a rumored WWE story, like the Saudi Arabia situation, Sasha Banks' supposed meltdown at Mania, Brock Lesnar throwing the Universal belt at Vince, just to name a few, which one would you choose? I would want to be a part of the Saudi Arabia thing if I could not be in Saudi Arabia. I don't want to go there and be a fly on the wall. So I think I'd pick the plane ride from hell.
See, I didn't know whether to go with that because it's not rumored, it's confirmed.
But I'd be like actually be able to watch that go down.
Oh yeah, oh that'd be fun too. I kind of wanted to go with the idea of that story that made the rounds of the guy that suggested what Heidenreich's character would originally be, of him being, well, essentially somebody presented an idea to like a writer that didn't last too much longer beyond this, but suggested to like Vince and Paul Heyman. I would also add to the point here that Paul Heyman is Jewish, very much so. That Heidenreich's character should be a cryogenically frozen Nazi brought back to life.
Jesus Christ.
And apparently Vince McMahon was dumbfounded and speechless and just walked out of the room completely silently because he was so offended with what had been heard. And this is Vince McMahon we're talking about here. The man who has, on multiple occasions, tried to push an incest storyline on TV. Right. Just being completely... I would just like to see that moment where just Vince, his mind just exploded of how terrible an idea it was.
You think he was fired on the spot? Just like...
No, apparently, because I've heard the story from the guy himself that apparently suggested the idea, so, like, because he's written about it online, so apparently he did last a couple more weeks beyond that, but that was pretty much the death knell for his career. Also, I'd like to be part of that, the CM Punk conversation before he left. Like, apparently, where he talks about in the podcast of him meeting with Triple H and Vince before that episode of Raw and just saying that he's out of here. Just see how it all, like, really went down.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall in December to December 2006 when Vince and Paul just apparently had this huge fight and Paul doesn't think he's coming back. I'd also like to be the one to tell certain people like CM Punk, like Paul Heyman, or even like Lesnar when he walks out in 04, like, yeah, not only are you coming back, but you're going to be there for damn near a decade, you know?
Well, you're a fly on the wall. You become...
Yeah. Vince probably crushes flies and puts them in his protein shakes.
I mean, I guess the Montreal screw job is another thing with all the rumors going around it.
It would be at least good to kind of just have complete confirmation about what exactly the events transpired in that thing.
Yeah, because everybody's got a different story.
Yeah, multiple people are like, I was the one that brought it up about why don't we screw Brett? It's like, well, you couldn't have all been the first person to bring up that idea.
You'd want to be in the hotel room when, like, the story that talks about how it was like Vince and Patterson and Briscoe and Michaels and Triple H all in the room discussing it. Just to see what their overall plan was.
I'd also like to be a fly on the wall in the room when the Clique asks Vince, hey, do you mind if we do this thing? And he's just like, I don't give a shit. And then it becomes this big, oh my God, can you believe that they did that?
What if you're a fly in the wall when people took a shit in their bags and stuff? Like the shit sandwich or something. fly on the wall in that situation.
Well, I don't know if I would want to be, because as a fly, I'd likely be attracted to the shit.
Well, wouldn't it be like, best of both worlds if you were a fly? Then you're like, oh, I get to see this wrestling history thing, and nice meal.
I'm glad you took this question and thought about the fly's perspective in this whole. Nobody thinks about the fly and the wall situation.
Well, yeah.
Poor little fly. Do you think it would be better to have a women's mid-card title rather than tag titles? Nope, not right now.
Roster's not deep enough yet.
Yeah, when you merge the brands again, because it's going to happen at some point, then I think that they should have both. I think women's main title, women's mid-card title, women's tag title. Right now,
that's so weird. Like, how do you define, what is it, just the women's Intercontinental Championship?
well, depending on what they do with the men's at that time.
Yeah, I don't know what you would call it just yet, but I'm sure they could come up with something which is just, or it's maybe the Evolution Championship.
Yeah, they could do something like that. I've always liked the name, like the Grand Championship, or some kind of thing that also seems like it's prestigious, without being like territorial based. You know, I don't like the whole like United States title and all that stuff, but like, I don't know, you can't call it like the Triple Crown Champion, because that doesn't make any sense, or something like that. But like something that just makes it seem like it's regal, the Prestige Championship or something like that. You know,
I do feel like you say, when the brands merge, they do need the mid-card title, because there's just so many women on the roster that just don't seem to ever be doing anything meaningful.
Yeah,
like we talked about before about like the four horse women at the top and all that other stuff. They're pretty much always the people just fighting for the main titles. It's very rare that you see someone from under that elite group getting into like the main championship picture.
Yeah, there's no reason for a women's mid-card title. I think if you merge them, the tag team title will become much better, and the singles division for the women would be great too.
Especially because if you do have one roster, then you don't have to worry about the tag title situation being an issue where one person's on one brand and then you can't tag them up. It would just be like, everybody's all on the same thing. Anybody can be a tag team partner with anybody. There's some major benefits to the brand split, but there's some major drawbacks as well. Here's an AEW one. Does anyone think that AEW's women's division is dry? They haven't had a match yet that's impressed me.
Did you listen to the podcasts?
Yeah. I very much agree. I am very underwhelmed with AEW's women's division. I don't think that there's pretty much a single person that stands out to me as being like, oh my god, this person's great.
It's probably their biggest area of concern, especially when you try and compare it with NXT's women's division, which is at a standard. Yeah, is at a standard that I don't think any roster in WWE or AEW can match. And yeah, I don't say like none of them have impressed me. Like, I like Yuka Sakazaki. I think that she has a lot of character and effervescence about her. After Full Gear, I've become more a fan of Emi Sakura. I think Hikaru Shida has a lot about her as well. But there's issues with Britt Baker being too green at this point in time to really be a top draw for the division. B. Priestley is good, but maybe needs to develop a little bit more. You've got people that are like good, but just haven't had the character development yet, or don't have the standout matches that we are kind of hoping for at this point in time.
They're really trying to be a one-trick pony right now. I don't care what anyone says. They're like, oh, we had the Joshi in America. Isn't that cool? And I think you need a little bit more than that.
Let's go to Michael's questions. Have you ever gotten a wrestling-related Christmas gift that you remember being happy to receive? Please expound beyond yes or no.
Wow.
I was very tempted to just say, yep,
yes,
I did. And to be like, ah, that's more than yes. I don't remember a whole lot. I know that I have, because as a kid, I was a wrestling fan, so I'm sure that I got like T-shirts and action figures and all that. But the only one that I remember for sure is that I got the WWF trivia game from then, like in the '90s. So it had like Vader on the front, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, I think Mankind and Austin, something like that. So I remember really liking that, and not being like, oh, cool, like, let me test my trivia kind of thing and stuff. But I don't remember ever being like wowed all that much. And I don't get anything wrestling related, any of these past like dozen years.
You'd really think that I would, even now, knowing that you're older, but people know that that's the one thing I enjoy. I'm surprised I don't get more wrestling gifts these days. I can't remember being like floored by a surprise gift as a kid. I know there's pictures of me with a WCW action figure ring, and when I got a little older, I got like the Bret Hart DVD for Christmas. I remember that being really cool, and the Ric Flair DVD for Christmas. But none of it was like, oh, it's so surprising and so rad.
Rad, look at that, you're advertising to kids.
Ah, fuck. Sorry, children.
Yeah, I can't recall anything in particular. Just again, probably just due to my poor memory at this point in time. But nothing that really stands out to me. I'm sure I definitely did get wrestling related stuff in the past. I never used to get like merchandise or anything, but I would have gotten DVDs or I would have gotten action figures because I used to collect them when I was a kid. So it's one of those things where yes, I'm pretty sure I did. No, I can't remember any of them. I certainly wasn't wowed by any of them, or to the point where it's engraved in my memory.
Michael also asks us what our favorite version of the Intercontinental Championship is. We kind of talked about this a little bit on the hot tags, but the black strapped classic design for me.
So, yeah, that would be my favorite as well. The blackstrap version of the one we just had, but the more traditional one held by Michaels and Brett and Savage and guys like that. That being said, and I'm gonna guess, Callum, that your favorite is the Attitude Era one.
No, no.
Oh no. Okay.
I like the white strapped version of the classic.
What do you think about people just having different straps for belts to match their gear or something?
I think different colors are good because it makes things different. You don't need to like. I know Tony's obviously so firmly entrenched on the black strap, black strap, black strap. It's not. I prefer the fact that some of them have different colors.
See, I want people to have different colors if it works with their character. I don't want it to just be like cruiserweight thing. Okay, purple strap. I would want it to be like Bray Wyatt's got a different belt because it's Bray Wyatt.
Well, the 205 Live has a purple strap because that's their brand color.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to be.
But
That's the thing. Like, so by that rationale.
So every company's so their brand color should be black to make it black.
No, they shouldn't have anything to do with the brand color. You just shouldn't have to, at the very least. At least not for like the main strap thing. Like you can have. I mean, like, if you check on Sportskeeda, I had done a thing before of, like, different ways to do the Universal Championship, where I thought like, again, with this whole blue strap Universal title, to me, a black strap title that has the exact same design as what the WWE Championship is, but that little red swoosh, you make that blue. And that's all you need to do to make it go, okay, that's the Blue Brands thing. It's just a little blue swoosh. And it's a little classier and stuff, but I like the idea of it being more so like the titles are just the titles the way that they are. And then if you want to add a little bit of character to it, you do it for the characters, not for the brand. Because the purple belt for 205 Live, well, Tony Nese had it, Drew Gulak had it, Leo Rush had it. It's not anything special. It's just a purple belt.
But I think that's okay because it's, again, like purple for that brand and for those people meant something. So I think it works.
I don't feel like it means anything. I feel like it just means that one's the purple one. Like, what's the green on the 24/7 title mean?
Economy friendly.
It's just green because they didn't have a green one. You know, they don't have a
I-
yellow one right now. Like, should they just make like, you know, the next championship is just like a yellow strap because that's the color that's left, and then an orange one, and then, you know, like,
No, I don't think we're going through the colors of the rainbow. I think
I think they are.
the women
Otherwise, why
have
is the
white
24/7
straps.
title? You know,
The women have white straps. That makes sense to me. And the Intercontinental title strap was white, presumably because Cody wanted it that color, and he paid for it. Um, when Goldust had it, it was gold. That makes a lot of sense.
yeah, but see, that was because that fit his character. It wasn't because he was on the gold brand, and it just had to be gold.
I think you're
Like-
emphasizing too much on the brands. They only do that for the Cruiserweight title and for whatever the Universal title is, and that's only because they're lazy
And the
and
Raw and
didn't want
SmackDown
to.
tag titles.
Well, yeah, that you have to, because otherwise there's no differentiating. Those two titles need an overhaul completely because they're giant nickels. They evolved from pennies to nickels, but I don't want that
But like
particular
put it this
design.
way: would you rather Bray Wyatt be carrying around the blue title because he's on SmackDown and they needed to make it blue, or would you rather Bray Wyatt have a title that fit Bray Wyatt and the Fiend?
I'd rather the Universal title be completely separate from the WWE title, but since it's not, I'd rather the blue brand title be blue, because otherwise there's literally no separating the one from the other.
No, I'm saying if you had the opportunity to make it something that fit the Fiend,
I think maybe unpopular,
not that it had to be the exact same thing as the WWE title.
but I think those things are stupid. Like, look at what happened the last time they gave us a character-specific belt. They just ended up keeping it for 10 years.
Well, they gave Daniel Bryan a custom belt.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan.
Oh, I forgot about Brian. Fuck.
I
Like Naomi with the
the
glowing title, I thought was a really cool idea that they should have done.
yeah, I like the idea of adding custom elements to, and I know that's kind of what the side plates are there for, but to add more custom elements to the base design of the belt, they should do that more often with characters. But then again, they only have about $2 or $3 billion in the bank, so they can't really afford to keep
Yeah.
changing the titles over and over again. So, but I preferred the white title because I just thought it made it stand out more. And the Intercontinental title has always been my favorite championship.
What do you think of the new design?
It's good, but I think I very much follow what you guys were saying before. It's a really good design. It's for the one belt they didn't need to redesign.
Yeah.
And they decided to do that one. I'm not saying that definitely, I can't say they made it better, but they certainly made another great looking Intercontinental Championship belt. I just wish they would do it with the belts that need it more than the Intercontinental title did.
I'll tell you what, I'd even be cool. I'm a part of the rarity. I like the WWE Championship right now with the big WWE logo. But even if they got rid of that and this Intercontinental title was the WWE Championship, I'd like that, you know.
Yeah, it's
Like-
a very prestigious looking belt.
There's nothing that makes this feel like it needs to be any particular title. It's just a good looking belt. So it didn't need to be the Intercontinental title. And if you change Intercontinental on there and you write tag team, this could have been the new tag team titles. And I would have been like, oh my God, that's great. You know?
The tag
Okay,
titles
we're
will have a
on,
brown strap because Vince
they
McMahon thinks tag teams are doo-doo.
Now they'll have the Raw and the SmackDown colors, but they'll probably be some ugly ass actual, like the plating would be terrible.
Instead of Spartans, it's the poop emoji. Because Vince just couldn't care about tag team.
It's 2 thumbs up or something. And let's round things out with Frankie's questions. What are
Yeah,
some
'cause we
of
don't
your
advertise to kids.
What are some of your favorite WWE conspiracy theories? If someone told you one of them that you would know for sure, which one would you pick? I tried to Google conspiracy theories, and I came across a bunch that I thought were really funny. One of them being that, like, you know what, I won't get it on the air. That's a whole nother discussion. But, like, just go through a whole discussion about a lot of different things. Another one of them that I thought was really funny that I came across was that the Saudi Arabia deal is a money laundering scheme. And I was like, you know what? That's like, I don't buy into that, but at the same time, like,
You never know.
I love the conspiracy theory that Vince McMahon had sent people like Vince Russo and Hulk Hogan to WCW to sabotage it from the inside. I don't buy into it, but I think that that's really fun.
No, I don't believe them for a second. As is the case for many of the conspiracy theories, but it's a fun kind of idea to toy around because at the very least there is evidence that did happen at least one point when at a more corporate level, when Stuart Snyder, who was like a former like main director in I think he in WWF circles, or in actually no, he used to be kind of a higher up executive on the not WCW but Turner side of things, and then he came over to WWF for a little while in between 2000 and 2001 as another high executive, and then he left to rejoin Turner. Funnily enough, in that time, WWF purchased WCW, so read into that what you will.
How the hell did that happen? Stuart Snyder sucks. He's just a terrible business person who not only killed WCW, but arguably Cartoon Network. So, up yours, Stuart Snyder. For me, I love and hate the Montreal theories. That it was all a work. Vince told Brett, go get your money, and I'm going to be a heel, and it'll be great. Mostly, I don't think it's true, mostly because I fully believe it when somebody like Bruce Pritchard says, yeah, but Vince thought he was going to be a babyface coming out of that. He thought people were going to love him because he defended the company.
Yeah, I agree that Vince would have thought that as well, and then did what he's pretty famous for, which is taking a situation that went completely against what he originally thought and making gold out of it.
Yep.
The story around the death of the original Ultimate Warrior is always a good one, because let's face it, we all know that's bullshit because he came back and that was
the same dude.
Yeah, it's the same dude, but it's still just like a funny thing to think about, that because a guy came out after the Ultimate Warrior had been out for a little while wearing essentially a bodysuit to try and make up for the fact that he'd lost a lot of muscle definition in the time that he was off. And then just assume, that clearly can't be the same guy because, bodies don't change.
It's Kerry Von Erich.
Yeah.
There's lots of crappy ones too. Like there's a lot of those, this person's not that real person. It's one of the stupid ones that I had come across was I believed as a kid that the fake Undertaker was the real one and the fake Kane was actually the real Undertaker and all this other kind of crap that went along with that. And there's issues of like people going around and saying that certain people that had quote unquote died, that's all a work, and it's like come on, they're not doing that. Like,
oh yeah, Macho Man is totally hanging out on a beach in the Bermuda Triangle with Elvis eating a sandwich.
Yeah, Tupac's right there too.
Yeah.
There's the Macho Man conspiracy theory.
Oh, yeah. How do we not talk about that?
The whole Stephanie thing.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject.
Changing my answer. If that's a real thing, I want to be a fly on the wall for that.
I don't want to be a fly on the wall.
I don't want to.
That'd be very.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
Yeah,
because you have to know that if that happened, Vince heard about it and totally fucking confronted him.
I'd rather be able to fly on the wall for the confrontation.
Yeah, I want to be. I'd fundamentally say along the lines of, I don't believe that it happened.
Right.
But there is always the talk about how Randy Savage was the one guy that never came back.
But I also think that that's bullshit, because I think he would have, because right as he died, everybody was starting to come back.
No, but I don't think it was, well, the argument would be that it wasn't down to him that he didn't come back, it would be down to Vince why he wouldn't come back, and what could he have done that would have made Vince not want to bring him back? because Vince brings everybody back.
But I think
Again,
he would have
though,
brought
if it
Randy
was
back.
really all that bad, then why would he have been signing off that he goes into the Hall of Fame to begin with, instead of just like, no, it's not fucking happening.
Yeah.
You know?
But like,
Oh yeah,
who
true.
even-
But
who
the fact
even
that he
made
waited
that one
until
up?
after he...
Because you know it didn't. Like,
No, people
there's
did
no
make that.
way.
So it's like it probably was just a matter of the two people didn't get in touch with each other, and like they probably had a falling out. It probably wasn't too serious in the grand scheme of things. And then time passes, and I mean, shit, yeah. How much time passes before you just kind of go like, oh man, like I haven't talked to this person from high school, and it's been like 6 years or 8 years or 20 years or whatever it is. You know, like
Well, Randy was on his way back. Didn't he do the He did promotion for a video game right before he died.
yeah, but that's one thing. That's
Yeah,
not
but that's usually the door
talking
opening
to-
for like Warrior came back with that shit.
Yeah, but that could have been like months in the making, and then slow transition type stuff. Like if Randy would have lived another 3 years, maybe he would have been back, and it would have been water under the bridge. I don't think that there's any kind of like main, and
There's
that's the thing
zero
is that
truth to that one though.
like Frankie's second part of that, which if you could know one of these things for sure, what would you pick? It would be that, because I would want to just know for sure why there was that issue, and then be able to be like, okay, definitively it wasn't that. Everybody could just like put that aside.
I think it's one of those things where the 90s wasn't what we have today, where you can find somebody and keep in touch with somebody so easily. So when they went their separate ways, they just completely lost touch.
There's a couple that I think are one of those like types of conspiracy theories that I wouldn't buy into at all, that are like, I don't even know why they would necessarily catch on, but some of them being like that Daniel Bryan was actually cleared, but that they wouldn't clear him because they didn't want that to get in the way of Roman Reigns' push. It's like, that's not gonna be, no. Why would they shoot themselves in the foot like that?
There's weird, less theory and more like a rumor that like Ric Flair was supposed to pop out of the egg at Survivor Series. That they wanted that to be a thing.
Yeah, it was him, and then it was the Undertaker, and then it was.
Well, Taker cleared that one up, that he thought he was going to be the Eggman.
I'm a big Eggman. I'm a big shower boy.
It would be good to try and clear up all of these JBL bullying rumors
Yes.
to just see how far he went with some of these things. And to that extent, it would be good to see some of these conspiracy theories, like try and prove these conspiracy theories about Wrestler Court and how that actually goes down.
You know,
Yeah, that'd be
it's
cool.
a good one. The Shawn Michaels military incident, because everybody has like a different story. Some people say it was one dude. Some people say like 5 guys jumped Shawn, but it was actually one guy. So there's some around like Shawn Michaels getting into fights that I'd like to see cleared up.
Yeah, JR addressed that on a recent podcast, and he was saying that it's fishy that Bulldog was like stuck in the back seat. And all
Even
that,
though that's
because-
what everybody says.
But it's like, yeah, okay, well, is that one of those weird things that just happens, or is there something to it, or
Maybe Bulldog was an idiot and got in the back seat.
maybe. How do you usually spend your Thanksgiving? What are some underrated or overrated foods, and anything else you can think of? Dinner with the family, nothing all that special. How do you guys do Thanksgiving?
Well, Callum
don't.
doesn't.
Well, that's true.
First of all, we have nothing to be thankful for, and second of all, you can only be thankful to us for inventing you in the first place. So, or Europeans
Inventing.
actually. Well, America is a European invention.
I was just picturing like all these Brits in like a laboratory being like, "Aha! I've figured out the recipe for America."
I mean, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but you guys aren't descended from like I was called like Native Americans.
Oh, of course not.
You're
No, we
descended
completely pillaged and destroyed their land and all the other
Exactly.
horrible things that happened.
That's a
at
real
that time.
thing. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's what you have to be thankful for.
Yeah,
So
it's like, we got corn and smallpox. Here you go.
yeah, what Thanksgiving is a celebration of obviously just colonial takeover of an indigenous population. I kind of compare it to the British holiday, which is a Guy Fawkes night or a bonfire night, which is basically a day where we set off fireworks and have a big celebration due to the fact that a guy unsuccessfully tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament back in the 17th century. Just
Good movie, V for Vendetta.
Yeah. So so it's one of these holidays which roots are kind of extended in something horrible that has become something like people celebrate and enjoy.
Pretty much all holidays,
Yeah,
if you trace them back, are really kind of like they're nothing but because let's be honest, like what holidays are now is not at all what they originally were supposed to be. Like Halloween is a time for people to dress up as their favorite fictional character and for girls to be slutty. That's basically what it is, and eat a lot of.
Hey, guys can
candy.
be slutty as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody pays attention to that.
It's fair, but okay.
You're gonna see a subreddit of like sexy guy costumes at Halloween? No,
There's a community somewhere.
Have you even looked?
That's true. I haven't.
I bet Caroline.
And like Thanksgiving, for instance, should be more looking at the candy.
Yeah, sure.
Thanksgiving is supposed to be, the whole like colonial type of, let's give thanks to the idea that we like survived and all this. And it's like, what is it now? It's people going, oh, I fucking love turkey. It's basically what it is.
It's become like you're supposed to sit around and gather with your family and say what you're thankful for, but really it's, hey, cool, turkey and football and Macy's parade.
And Christmas is obviously, there's a lot of religious tones to that, yet for the most part, it's become just like,
it's the one
we
time
give gifts to
where
each
you
other.
Be a good human being.
We gotta, we like, and you know what? At the risk of offending people that are religious, which, celebrate whatever your religion it is, I have no problem with it at all. I like the idea of the less religious, less, like, I don't like the 4th of July, for instance. That's not religious, but it's the same kind of parallel where, to me, I don't want to celebrate a holiday of being like, yeah, go America, we're going to shoot off fireworks and just be like, I'm going to cry because the flag means so much to me. Like, it doesn't. And that's, heresy to a lot of people, especially people that like have been in the military where they've defended the country and all this other kind of stuff. But to me, holidays mean more if they're about people. And I don't have any ties to like pilgrims where I'd be like, let me give thanks to the fact that our founding fathers did this way. No, I'd rather my Thanksgiving be about, hey, I'm really thankful that I have my friends in my life and that kind of thing. And my Christmas to me is not about Jesus or any of the kind of things that goes along with that, especially because I'm not really religious. But like, to me, Christmas is more of like, it's quiet outside. People aren't being dicks to each other as much. You're giving gifts to people that you care about to show that you love them. Like, that means so much more to me. And then when you get into Easter and people are like, it's the resurrection or whatever, I'm like, yeah, it's a fucking bunny that hides eggs. Like, it's just like, I think more should be, let's get into the whole, like, every day is like multiple holidays. What is today, for instance? Let's see.
It's like National Eat a Hot Dog Day or something.
Right, National Chocolate Chip Pancake Day or some bullshit.
You're gonna search now. It's gonna be something really serious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be like Childhood Cancer Day or something like that, and I'm gonna be like, why do we celebrate that? Oh, actually, why can't I find this National something Day? It's all these federal holidays, which is like, yeah, we already know that.
Yeah, there's a lot of these ones. I'm trying to like dig around a little bit.
National Day Calendar. Let's see what this one says. Today is, you better start getting into this one. It is National Taiwan On Day. I don't even know what that is. National Jukebox Day. National Bavarian Cream Pie Day. And National Kraft Jerky Day. Not even beef jerky day, Kraft Jerky Day.
Oh god, do you want to know what Taiwan On Day represents?
Go ahead.
So it represents on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, Taiwan On Day encourages people to wrap a baked good in an apron, attach a note, and then deliver it to a neighbour.
What?
Essentially just...
Oh, hold on. So that's decent in theory, but
But
Yeah.
that is
Taiwan
silly.
on?
Yeah, just essentially just the idea of like just tie something up in an apron and deliver it to a friend or neighbor of yours.
I mean, it's not as short, but National Give a fucking pie to your friend day. It makes more sense to me than Taiwan on day. I'm thinking this is like,
Taiwan on, pass it
give yourself a
on.
Windsor nod or something. Like National Bavarian Cream Pie. Why the fuck do we have that? Like,
Hey, Bavarian
is
cream pies
anybody?
have feelings too. They
No,
deserve
they
their
don't.
day.
Like, is anybody sitting there, outside of the fact that it's like, well, it's National Bavarian Cream Pie Day. Let me post my Bavarian Cream Pie because I run a business and I want to get Instagram clicks or something. Is anybody like, woo! It's November 27th. It's National Bavarian Cream Pie Day. It's my favorite holiday of the year.
You know, there's at least one person that's like that.
Fucking Barry.
Fucking Barry.
That's insane, though. Like, so to me, it's like, yeah, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. To me, I'm not going to be celebrating what Thanksgiving's supposed to be celebrating. It's just, let me get my family together, and I don't even do, to be honest, like, I don't even do the stuff that I wish that I would do. It's not like my family sits there and really gets, like, any kind of deep conversation about what we're thankful for. It's more so just like, can somebody help me out with the fucking stuffing? And, like, that kind of stuff. Oh, okay, now we're eating, and, alright, well, thanks for sitting around the table for a little bit.
Yeah, see, that's how it was for me most years growing up. Now I'm around so much family that it turns into this big gathering, and I'm kind of like, yeah, but can we go back to like, let's just eat this food and shut up and save the food?
Yeah, you can't truly be thankful until the day after when all these people leave and you don't have to talk to them for another year.
Oh, that's the holiday right there. You get the Black Friday savings, and they're gone. Like,
I tend to think that when people do Friendsgivings, it means more.
yeah,
Yeah, because those people that you have that you actually
that
like
you've
are often people that
chosen
you're
to
forced
like.
that are the people that you're forced to just hang around with due to this terrible act of serendipity. Unfortunately, if my parents are listening, I don't mean you.
Oh,
If your
that'd be
parents are
nice
listening,
if they
stop
support
listening.
you.
We're not targeting towards children.
Yeah, my parents are children.
Yeah.
Essentially, I never explained to you guys. I've been Benjamin Buttoning this entire time.
That makes sense.
Well, my voice always seems to be so high. My age.
Frankie also asks about the food related stuff, like, favorite foods, underrated, overrated, all that stuff. Obviously, Callum, you don't celebrate it, so you're not running through the same situation as we are, where it's like the same types of foods every year and all that, but you have a basic idea of like what the general American Thanksgiving consists of and everything.
Yeah, there's this turkey, cranberry sauce, Brussels sprouts, that type of stuff.
Yeah, like I like green bean casserole. I'm cool with mashed potatoes, but to me, it's like, well, you can eat mashed potatoes at any point in the year, so why do I care?
These like pecan pies
Stuffing.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, pumpkin pie is like the only time of the year that I'll eat pumpkin pie. But even back in the day, like when I was a kid, I never really liked all of the Thanksgiving stuff, and I'd be like, can I just eat like some spaghetti? Can I get some pizza?
That's the most Tony thing.
Yeah, there's legitimately many, many years of like 8-year-old Tony eating buttered noodles instead of anything else, just because it's like, just make the fucking
I
kid
like
some noodles instead.
I like to imagine that younger Tony was a lot more Italian than you are now. Just like, hey ma, it's Thanksgiving, but I want some I want some
Ma.
lasagna rather than a turkey.
What's weird is I'm 5 things that I know of. Everybody goes straight to the Italian, but I'm also English, Polish, German, and French. Yet it's pretty much just like the Italian part of me is the only thing that stands out, I guess. But I'm not really all that Italian, and
It's because your name's Tony. That's why the Italian one
yeah,
stands
Tony
out.
Mango. It's like, that sounds like a mobster name kind of thing. It's not like McAndrews or something like that, where you're just like, okay, I'm Irish or something. But yeah, like I kind of wish that I had been a part of like just like a full-blooded Italian sort of situation like that, because I do have friends that are like full-blooded Italian, all 100% and all that, and man, their fucking meals are just like absurd. That's my word of the day, apparently. Um, And if I was like that, then I'd be all like, hey, get the gabagool and like that kind of stuff. But now I was more so just like a picky ass eater, and I'm just like, I don't want to eat, corn. Oh, I want to eat some capellini. Give me some buttered shells.
I go for some steak, but I can always go for steak. Steak, you can't miss.
Steak's awesome. Do you got any like favorite or underrated or overrated types of reactions with foods for Thanksgiving?
Stuffing is really good, but it's because it's the only time of the year you eat stuffing.
Oh, now are you eating stovetop or are you eating like home cooked?
Stovetop.
Good. That's good. Stovetop is A+.
Depending on who is at the Thanksgiving would depend on the food, but one year I had the fucking greatest mac and cheese, and it was just like I ate it for 5 days straight. It was that good. Turkey is always good if you leave it to Thanksgiving and you don't go, oh, but it's Christmas now, we're doing a turkey, and it's New Year's Eve and we're doing a turkey. Like, just leave it to Thanksgiving, let it be its special thing, and it's great. Sweet potatoes. I don't know how you guys feel about them, but I think they're delicious.
Sweet potatoes are good.
And yeah, I like corn, unlike Tony.
No, I like corn, but as a kid, I was just sort of like, oh, it's a vegetable.
Tony didn't want corn.
Nah, younger Tony wouldn't have eaten green bean casserole either, or
green beans.
Younger Tony
pretty much ate like
rolls
because your monetized.
That's true. You little shit.
All right, quickly give younger Tony all the advice.
Stop complaining. Not everything is about you. Don't listen to anything that you're thinking about that's like, you're gonna be this when you grow up, because it doesn't work out.
All right, you're wasting this. Invest in Apple. Do it while you're younger. It'll pay off tremendously. Don't think that the internet is just some fad, which Tony probably didn't. I don't know.
You mentioned the have a turkey all the time thing, and this just came to my mind. This is a random ass side note, but I'll go down this road. Family Feud. There's this great little thing that happened one time on this one episode where at the end of the show, for anybody who doesn't watch Family Feud, there's like a speed round kind of thing. You have 5 questions and you have to try to guess, and you have to get to like 100. So 2 people get asked the questions and they have to kind of balance it out and all that other kind of stuff. Point being, they asked this guy, it was like, let me try to make sure if I get the right thing, because I don't want to screw that up. All right,
I would also point out the Family Feud, you get up to 200 in the final round rather than 100.
Yeah.
Just for the people that are typing in the comments furiously right now that you got something.
Yeah, I'm sure they're complaining about other things as well.
Yeah.
Get off the comments, kids. So
stay away
the question,
from Barry.
Yeah, fucking Barry. The first question the guy gets asked is, name something that you take to the beach. And he goes, turkey. And then it's, name something you buy at a supermarket. And he goes, the turkey. And then the third one is, name something that gets stuffed. And he goes, turkey.
Name a European country. Turkey.
So, of course, they're all laughing. They're all just like, you fucked this all up and whatever. So they go to the, okay, let's check to see the points. Name something that you take to the beach. You said turkey. 0. Name something you buy at the supermarket. You said turkey. 0. Name something you stuff. You said turkey. And he gets like 58 or something, and he ends up like winning the fucking game. This is one of these random things that happen, which is so good. Now that you said turkey a bunch of times, Sarah, it's just like thinking the guy going like, turkey. I imagine the guy is just like thinking that for everything. Like if they would have said anything else for that third question, he probably would have said turkey toes. Ridiculous. Do you shop on Black Friday? Online. Fuck the stores.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, if something's there that I have an interest in, then yeah, I'll pick something up, but absolutely avoid any physical shops or anything like that.
I did some shopping last night. Actually, last night, like I sleep. It was 6:30 in the morning. And it's like that's cool. I like the idea that Black Friday is not Black Friday anymore. It's like here's like 2 weeks, so you can just go ahead and take advantage of it while you can. A lot easier. Another question from Frankie. Did you ever used to dip your chicken nuggets into mashed potatoes as a kid? Kids were not advertised. Nah. I usually liked to eat like mac and cheese or French fries with like chicken nuggets more so than mashed potatoes. And even if I had mashed potatoes, I wasn't really a dipper. Random question.
Yeah.
What a fucking specific. You dip your chicken nuggets in.
It's like Frankie's asking us this for reinforcement that other people do it, not just.
I do know people that do it.
I gotta tell you, this might just be you, bud.
But
I've known other people that have done it.
They're wrong.
Yeah, that's what you tell Kid Tony. It's wrong to dip your chicken nuggets in mashed potatoes. Dip it in ketchup or something.
Kid Tony knows better.
Oh yeah, Kid Tony didn't do it either.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I'll tell Kid Tony, good job, not.
Well, no, I only dip chicken nuggets in ketchup.
You're wrong. Ketchup is wrong.
Ketchup's great.
Ketchup is so gross.
I have legitimately, again, revealing this on the air because we're going on many tangents anyway. I've legitimately drunk ketchup out of the bottle.
Well, you also say you don't like the chocolates. Your taste buds have been completely.
That's gross. Chocolate's gross.
Now, do you put ketchup on mashed potatoes?
Yep.
I knew it. I fucking knew it.
No, literally, you can tell me anything. I put ketchup on it.
Wait, are you one of those people that puts ketchup on their eggs?
I don't eat eggs, but I would do if I did eat them. I put ketchup on lasagna. That's how far I go in this sort of stuff.
All right.
Caroline does the ketchup with pasta type stuff every now and then, like ketchup with like mac and cheese, and I'm just like, way to ruin the mac and cheese.
Yeah, it's just a nice accompaniment to basically any food for me.
I'd like it if it didn't have the tomatoes and the vinegar.
Well, that would kind of just would just be essentially just like a sugar solution on top of your food.
At that point, no, not even that.
Okay.
I'd like it if it didn't exist.
Ah.
Really quickly, I didn't plug Fanboys. I don't know, I said no transition here, but fanboysanonymous.com. Go check out that site. If you don't know what it is by now, go check it out. Mystery. Woo. We got one more question here for Frankie. It's been over a month. What have you thought of AEW TV overall since its arrival? What would you change, etc., etc.? I'll put it this way. I have stopped watching AEW Dark because there's way too much stuff to watch. And every week, I'm finding myself skipping through at least one segment on Dynamite. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. It's not like I'm like always skipping through like a Kip Sabian match, or I'm always skipping through a Riho match or anything. It's just by the time I watch NXT and then I start watching Dynamite, I'm sick of it. So I want them to be about like a half an hour shorter. The matches go on too long. And there's always like a 3/4 mark where they're having some 20-minute long match or something, and I'm just like, all right, just who fucking won, you know? I've done it with I did it with Pac and Paige. I didn't bother watching that whole match. I did it with Private Party against somebody recently. I can't remember who. I think it was like the Dark Order or something.
I think they fought Best Friends.
Might have been that. It's just like I'll watch it and I'll watch the first like 2 or 3 segments, and then I'm just like, you know what? It's fucking 11:30. I really just kind of want to not be doing this anymore. Do I really want to sit through 15 minutes of no sell? This person's gonna run really fast at the ropes and then hit a knee or something like. So it's a little too samey for me, and I wish that they would try to like change it up a little bit. But the visuals are great. A lot of the talent's great, and overall, I like the show. How you guys feeling?
Dynamite flies by. I cover that instead of NXT now for WrestleZone. Dynamite flies. And yes, I'll agree, a lot of it is very samey in terms of in-ring, but it's good, so you can't fully complain, and it, like I said, it really does go by fast, and that's never a bad thing. As far as Dark, just because you mentioned it, I would agree with you that unless I hear that one of the main elite dudes are going to be on it or somebody I really like, I'm probably skipping it. And yeah, what do you think, Callum?
I have enjoyed the vast majority of it since it's come onto the air. I disagree with the fact that the matches are samey. But that's because I think WWE matches are samey, and that's because I feel WWE matches are very formulaic and they have the same pattern attached to them. Whereas AEW, even though it's in terms of the style, you'd probably class it as indie-rific. It's kind of the match structure, I feel, is more diverse in AEW than it is in WWE. Maybe I'm the only person that thinks that, but that's at least the impression that I get. I am now completely sold on the idea of, if I wasn't before, of you shouldn't do scripted promos.
Oh, that I'll give you.
Because
Yeah, that's so much better.
AEW's promos have been miles better than pretty much anything that WWE's put on this year, apart from the odd couple of bits and pieces that they've done. AEW's the character work is great. It needs some development in certain places. I agree with Tony. The matches, on the whole, are far too long in most places. I think they're maybe resting on the laurels too much with the long matches, and maybe they should cut a couple of matches a bit shorter and put another match in instead to aid with the flow of the program. But I think that's also due to the fact that they have a lot of talent that is starting to work together or isn't super experienced working on a crowd this big or through a television audience. So they're trying to give them time to develop. It's the idea with Britt Baker's green in the ring, but she needs to have long matches to get better. But they don't do house shows. So where else can she learn to get better other than on your main TV show or on Dark? So they need to maybe adjust that thing, whether they do add some kind of touring schedule where they work an extra 2 nights a week somewhere.
Work
just
1
to
week
get
in
some
the
more
month.
experience. Yeah, just to give some people a bit more experience so they are up to the level that you want them to be. But the one thing that I love about AEW, but it's mainly not so much for NXT, but the Raw and SmackDown, the crowd is just so into everything.
Yeah.
The crowds in this, they're coming out because they want to see a great show, and it's kind of got to the point, and it's not all WWE's fault, because at the end of the day, if fans are paying their money to go to the ticket, they shouldn't just go there to want to shit on the product.
I agree.
But they've got into a state where they kind of not so much feel like they have to, but it's almost like an uphill battle for them. Whereas with AEW, it's so much more, the crowd's just so ready to have a great night and is going to try and have a great night however possible. So even if the match they're watching isn't up to great standards, they'll be polite about it and they'll try and get into it and they'll try and get them to see if they can deliver a great match by the end of it. Especially with some of the women's matches I've seen, and a few other of the tag team matches, which are a bit more low key, to more of a low key level. Crowd has really elevated those matches to levels that they shouldn't really be at on their own.
And that happens a lot in wrestling. You'll see a good WWE match today, even a so-so one, can be greatly elevated by a crowd that wants to see this match and gets super into it. I think a lot of the fans have adopted this mindset of hijacking the shows, and that's really been a cancer in WWE programming, and AEW, being the fresh alternative, doesn't have that right now, and that's definitely a plus.
And I would add, just in terms of people that have stood out for me for AEW TV, Jericho is the greatest right now.
Is this Jericho's best run?
It has to last a little bit longer to get to that territory, but I think if it continues at this rate for another 6 months to a year, then I probably would class it around about that at that level. Cody's a great baby face. I'm a big fan of Jungle Boy because he just seems to have something about him that it means that he's going to be a star at some point. I'm really liking the stuff they're doing with Park and Hangman Page. They need to have a bit more character work associated with them, but I'm enjoying their matches. Moxley's great.
Darby Allin. Darby Allin's a fucking star.
Darby Allin has a lot of upside to him. I think the tag team division in general, Scorpio Sky in particular, is really impressive and is flourishing in this sort of role. Phoenix in particular as well. Phoenix and Pentagon, but Phoenix in particular, I think this sort of platform for him is just perfect right now. But there are people obviously that haven't impressed me. I'm not a fan of the Brandy Rose Awesome Kong thing they've got going on right now. I don't think that they're pushing Sean Spears too hard for what he can actually provide to the company. And there are certain characters like Jimmy Havoc and Joey Janela are a few bits and pieces that have potential, but they just don't seem to have a direction right now. But overall, I've been happy with the shows.
Unrelated, but NWA Power, I'm officially like, no, you went too far in the goofy, this is an 80s parody direction.
This last episode was definitely, I mean, it was a backward step, but I'm pretty sure, based on the feedback that I've saw people talking about, it was essentially a clip show to make up for the fact that they're re-editing the future episodes to try and get Jim Cornette out of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it was essentially a clip show.
Essentially, one line from like something that should have been be eradicated at this point in time, or at least could have just easily been edited out, because you know what you're getting with Jim Cornette. Like a line that could have easily been edited out has now completely derailed that entire promotion 8 episodes in. It's a shame, because I was enjoying the first few episodes of it, but yeah, it's like you get what you pay for with Jim Cornette.
Yep.
Yeah. So thumbs up, thumbs down for a couple different things here and there. They are still learning.
They're not perfect. They're certainly not perfect.
AEW is doing pretty damn well for what could have been a train wreck, and they have some way to go. But I mean, like overall, like I like the product quite a bit.
We're still covering the pay-per-views, so that should tell you something.
Yeah. And I'm very happy that their ratings have remained very stable as well, around about the 800,000 to 1 million mark. It shows that there's a sustainable audience there.
Very curious to see what the ratings are tonight, because I'm expecting. Well, we'll see it tomorrow, but actually, we probably won't see it tomorrow because it's Thanksgiving, so it's not going to be like it's gonna. The ratings will come out later. But I'm expecting AEW to win again, and I'm curious if it's going to be like a big gap or a tinier one.
I'm almost assuming that NXT will win this time, just because of the Survivor Series, Rob.
I don't know, man. AEW is running a strong show tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be. It will definitely be close. I mean, last week's one was ridiculously close, and that was with the main roster people on the NXT show. So, I think it's up in the air. This one, we'll essentially see if all of this build up towards Survivor Series has an impact going forward, or it was just it was just that in the bubble moment, and it's not going to have any sustainable follow on from that. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah, so those are your mailbag questions. Thank you again for submitting this. And if you did not get a chance to send in some kind of a question or anything that you want to kind of mull over and ask us the next time around, go ahead and do that, because eventually we're going to do the December one sometime around the end of December. Not
oh
exactly
my God,
sure
it's
when.
December.
Pretty much.
Oh,
so, a couple of weeks from now, we're going to do that. And we'll do it the week before we do the awards. So, I don't know, 3 weeks from now, something like that. It might even be 2 weeks from now, depending on what we're able to do. But, yeah, we got that. It can't be 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now is TLC. So, we'll figure it out. We'll do it somewhere down the line. So, think of the questions that you want to ask us. Send it whenever you want to. I'll backlog it if you send it earlier. And then we'll answer any of those kind of questions that we get around to it in the December edition. But that's the November ones. I did my plugs mostly, although I've got a couple other things to mention. I'll throw it out there right now. Just the Champsgiving is going on right now. I had said in the Mega Maniacs group chat that RVD and Jeff Hardy are completely tied, and they keep being tied every time that I check it. So instead of me having round 5 up already, I've been kind of just hanging around, letting that be like a couple more votes. So I don't know
Are we
how that's
doing a
going to play out.
podcast on that when it ends?
Yeah, next week that'll be the game plan, is reviewing the whole tournament, talking our thoughts about that, unless something weird happens. But by the time that Thanksgiving, then I'll have round 5 up, because even if it ends up being a tie, then you know what, screw it, I'll just put down something weird on the bracket and we'll figure it out. So vote while you can on that. Vote on round 5 when that's up. Pay attention to that. SmarkOutMoment.com, FanboysAnonymous.com, the Patreon, the merch shops, that stuff. And I'm going to pass the baton and the stuffing and all the other kind of stuff over to these guys. Callum?
So, big thing, as per usual, 2001 and Wrestling Odyssey. This week we will be recording the November edition of the podcast, where we go back in time to the year 2001 and check out all the news and events that were happening in that time. Back in history, when WWF became a monopoly for the first time ever and stuck with it for a good 18 years from that point on. So we're looking at Survivor Series 2001 is going to be like the big talking point, but there's a lot of other news that I'm still currently like just cobbling together in terms of format. And yeah, so I think it'll be an interesting episode. So it's well worth checking out but you should also be going back if you haven't already and listening to all the previous editions that me and Rob have put together. So, yep. So check out 2001 Wrestling Odyssey. Go to smarkoutmoment.com and read the power rankings alongside all the other weekly articles. I contributed to the triple threat this week as well, so you can see me on 2 articles this week. And follow me on Twitter. Yeah. And follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14.
And first of all, 2001 Wrestling Odyssey is great, and this has been Callum's pet project all year, and you should go check it out. And for me, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DudeFelice. Check out everything I'm doing over at eWrestling News, WrestleZone.com, and Fightful. And have a great Thanksgiving and pass the fucking gravy.
Yeah, very much so, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate it. If you don't celebrate it, happy Thanksgiving to you as well, because we just did that whole discussion about how you don't need to celebrate particular things based off of the countries and whatever. Happy National Bavarian Cream Pie Day. Make sure you tie one on, and whatever the fuck the other ones were. I don't know. And
And if you're going around the table, you better thank Smark Out Moment first, because, hey, we give you hours and hours and hours of entertainment. And Tony's losing his mind, so donate to the Patreon.
Losing my mind and my pulse. But I am very, very thankful for every one of you for listening and all your support in whatever ways that you guys do show your support. So, again, thank you, and have a happy and safe holiday weekend and all the other kind of stuff that goes along with that. And we will see you when we see you, everybody. But this has been another Smark Out Moment, and we are being counted out.